When you think of a hospital, you probably picture doctors and nurses, right? But behind them, there's this massive, hidden world of technology they absolutely depend on. So let's pull back that curtain. We're going to meet the unsung heroes who really make modern medicine tick. Okay, get this. 40,000. What is that? That's not a crowd at a concert. That's the number of unique medical devices in just one major hospital system. I mean, think about that for a second. Everything from a simple thermometer all the way up to these incredibly complex MRI machines. It's this invisible infrastructure where every single piece has to work perfectly every time. So that begs a pretty huge question, right? With tens of thousands of these devices all interconnected, who is making sure every single one is not just working, but is safe and effective for every single patient? You might be surprised by the answer. Well, the answer is a super specialized team of engineers. You can think of them as the guardians of all the hospital's tech, working completely behind the scenes to make sure everything runs without a hitch. Let's break down who these key players are. Okay, so people mix these terms up all the time, but there are actually three really distinct roles here. You've got your biomedical engineers. These are the innovators, the ones in the labs designing the next big thing. Then you have the BMETs, or biomedical equipment technicians. They're the boots on the ground doing the hands-on installation and repairs. And then, right in the middle, bridging that huge gap, are the clinical engineers. They're the ones managing the entire technology ecosystem inside the hospital wall. So, what's a day in the life of a clinical engineer actually look like? Well, it's basically a constant battle. They're managing this massive, always changing inventory of equipment, and patient safety is literally on the line every single second of every single day. And their job is so much more than just fixing stuff when it breaks. That's a common misconception. They are constantly running preventative maintenance, they're calibrating these super sensitive instruments to make sure they're deadly accurate, and they're running just constant, rigorous safety tests. And on top of all that, they're also training the doctors and nurses on how to use the equipment properly, which is absolutely crucial for preventing user error. Just to give you an idea of the sheer scale of this, a team at just one hospital will perform around 20,000 safety tests on their equipment every single year. 20,000. That's an unbelievable amount of work just to make sure everything is electrically safe. And that's just one tiny piece of what they do. Specialist engineer Laurana Milliner said it perfectly. The stakes here are just incredibly high. If the piece of equipment doesn't work correctly, patients won't get the right diagnosis or the care that they need. It's a huge responsibility. A machine that's even slightly off can lead to a wrong diagnosis. A pump that's miscalibrated could deliver a fatal dose of medication. Their work is directly tied to whether a patient gets better or not. But here's the thing. The job is changing fast. It's not just about wrenches and circuits anymore. Today, these clinical engineers are also fighting on a brand new front line, a digital, invisible one. Okay, so here's the problem. Pretty much every new medical device is connected to the hospital's network now. And while that's awesome for sharing data and making things efficient, it also swings the door wide open for cyber attacks. This has created a whole new set of responsibilities that goes way beyond traditional engineering. So, what's the solution? It's all about collaboration. Clinical engineers are now working side by side with IT security folks and the supply chain department. It's a team effort. Together, they vet every single piece of new technology before it's even purchased to make sure it's got rock-solid cybersecurity. It's all about protecting the network and, most importantly, protecting the patients. And this deep dive into cybersecurity really paints a much bigger picture of their role. You see, it's not just about fixing things. It's about managing the entire life of a piece of technology, from the second a hospital even thinks about buying it all the way until it's safely taken out of service. This whole life cycle really starts with evaluation. Is this new gadget actually safe? Is it effective? Then you move to purchase and deployment, where they're handling everything from the contracts to installing it and training the staff. Then, of course, comes years of ongoing maintenance. And finally, when it's obsolete, they manage the secure disposal of that old equipment. I mean, they're basically shepherds of technology from cradle to grave. A much better way to think about them might be as logistics engineers. Yeah, that term really captures what they do strategically. They're not just technicians waiting for something to break. They are planners. They analyze the entire hospital's workflow to figure out how to make patient care better and more efficient, all through the smart placement and management of technology. All right, so let's get to the bottom line here. Why does all this matter so much? What's the ultimate point of all this incredibly complex, behind-the-scenes work?
Well, it all boils down to one simple, critical mission. Every single test, every single repair, every security protocol, it's all designed to do one thing: make sure the technology is safe, effective, and totally reliable. Their work is the bedrock that allows doctors and nurses to do their jobs and deliver care to patients. This vision from a major hospital trust really says it all. It perfectly sums up their purpose. All of that technical wizardry serves one single, vital mission: to deliver the best care for every patient. So I'll leave you with this final thought. We always celebrate the surgeons who save lives in the OR, and rightly so. But when you stop and think about the thousands of devices that have to work absolutely perfectly for that surgery to even happen, you have to ask yourself a new question. Could it be that one of a hospital's greatest lifesavers isn't a doctor at all, but an engineer?